My friend, let me ask you something that most men over 60 don't often talk about out loud, but think about more often than they'd admit. Have you noticed your energy slipping away? Your drive just not what it used to be? Or perhaps a sense that circulation down there isn't quite as strong as it once was? You're not alone. Millions of men after 60 quietly face the same concern, and many are too embarrassed to bring it up. But here's the good news. Nature itself has given us some powerful tools to help restore energy, boost circulation, and bring back a sense of vitality. And the best part? These tools are plant-based, completely natural, and surprisingly simple. Today, I want to walk with you through something I call the top 3 essential vegan foods to boost circulation down there, after 60, for energy and vitality. I'll tell you about a gentleman I met not too long ago. His name was Harold, a 67-year-old retired teacher with a warm laugh and a deep love for fishing. He came into my office one afternoon, leaning on his cane, but his spirit was still strong. He looked at me and said, "Doc, I don't feel like myself anymore. I get tired too easily, and when it comes to intimacy with my wife, I feel, well, like the spark is fading." He wasn't sick, his labs weren't alarming, but his body was clearly telling him something. Circulation wasn't what it once had been. And Harold, like so many men his age, wanted to know if there was something natural, something safe, that could help him feel alive again. Now, before I go further, let me introduce myself to those who are new here. My name is Dr. Nolan Easton, and I've spent over 30 years working with men just like Harold, men over 60 who are looking to not just live longer, but live stronger. My focus has always been men's health, particularly in those years when the body begins to change and vitality doesn't come as effortlessly as it once did. And let me tell you, after decades of practice, I've learned that food is one of the most powerful medicines we have, especially when it comes to circulation and energy levels. That's what makes this conversation so important. Because while many men over 60 are prescribed pills and treatments, the truth is, nature already provides us with foods that nourish our arteries, enhance blood flow, and improve energy levels in ways that medications often can't replicate. And what's more, these foods carry none of the side effects that so many pills do. They restore the body gently, helping men like Harold, and maybe like you, feel more like themselves again. Before I share Harold's transformation, let me pause for a quick moment. If you're watching this and you find yourself nodding along, thinking, "Yes, this speaks to me," then I invite you to join our community. Hit the like button, subscribe, and tap that little bell so you never miss advice that could change your life in these vital years. And here's something special. I want you to write yes or no in the comments if this message resonates with you. Do you feel your energy and circulation just aren't what they used to be? I read every single one of those comments because they help me tailor the advice I give here, and I take your answers seriously. Now, back to Harold. He had already tried a few supplements, a few internet fads, and even cut back on salt, but nothing seemed to make a real difference. When I asked him about his diet, he admitted it was pretty much meat and potatoes, the way he had eaten all his life. And while there's nothing wrong with enjoying those foods, what Harold's body was craving was the very thing he was missing: plant-based power. I explained to him that certain vegan foods are especially effective at improving blood flow, particularly in the parts of the body where men want it most. These foods contain natural compounds that relax blood vessels, reduce stiffness in the arteries, and allow the body's circulation to flow more freely. The result? More energy, more vitality, and yes, better performance down there. Think about it like this. Your blood vessels are like flexible garden hoses. When you're young, the hoses are supple. They expand and contract easily, and water flows through them with no trouble. But as we age, especially after 60, those hoses can get stiff, even clogged, and suddenly the flow isn't what it used to be. The right foods can help clean and soften those hoses, allowing your body to regain some of that youthful circulation. and Harold needed exactly that. Over the weeks that followed, I guided him step by step into adding some powerful vegan foods into his daily meals. At first, he was skeptical. "Doc, you're telling me a handful of plants are going to do what all these pills haven't?" But he trusted me enough to give it a shot. Slowly, he began introducing them, replacing some of the heavier foods on his plate with lighter, plant-based options. Within a few weeks, the change was undeniable. His energy in the mornings was brighter, his stamina out on his fishing trips improved, and when I asked him, with a wink, about how things were going in his marriage, Harold chuckled and said, "Doc, let's just say my wife is very happy you put me on this plan." Stories like Harold's aren't rare. I've seen this pattern countless times over the years. Men who thought their days of vitality and passion were behind them discover that with the right foods, their body still has plenty of life left in it. And that's why this video matters so much, because circulation down there isn't just about intimacy, it's about life itself. Strong circulation is linked to better heart health, sharper brain function, more energy in your muscles, and a greater sense of well-being overall. When your blood is moving freely, your entire body feels it. So if you've been wondering why energy seems harder to come by, why you're more easily fatigued, or why things don't feel the way they once did in your private life, remember this. It's not a sign that you're broken. It's a sign that your body needs a little help, and often that help can come from the foods you choose. And I want to remind you, if you're still with me right now, you've already taken a powerful step forward. Most men don't even want to hear about these topics, let alone take action. But by being here, by listening, you've shown that you care about your future, your strength, and your vitality. And trust me, that mindset alone already puts you on the right path.
When Harold began this journey, the first change I suggested was surprisingly simple, and yet it was one of the most powerful. I told him, "Harold, we need to get more beets into your life." He looked at me with raised eyebrows and said, "Beets? The red things my mother used to pickle and put on the dinner table? You're telling me those can help with my energy and circulation?" I nodded, because the truth is, beets are one of nature's most effective circulation boosters, especially for men over 60. What makes them so special is something called dietary nitrates. Now, I don't want to get too scientific here, but I'll explain it in simple terms. When you eat beets, those natural nitrates turn into nitric oxide in your body. And nitric oxide is like a miracle worker for your blood vessels. It relaxes and widens them, letting blood flow more freely through your arteries. For Harold, that meant more oxygen and nutrients reaching his muscles, his brain, and yes, his intimate areas. And when that happens, energy improves, stamina builds, and a man feels more alive. The first week Harold tried it, he started small. He sliced a beet into his salad and later tried a fresh beet juice in the morning. At first, he laughed and told me, "Doc, this juice tastes like the earth itself." But as he kept drinking it, he noticed something. When he went out fishing with his grandson, he didn't get as winded climbing the riverbank. In the evenings, he had more spark in his step. And when he and his wife sat on the porch after dinner, he felt an energy he hadn't felt in years. That was circulation coming back to life. And here's something I want you to take to heart. So many men assume that slowing down after 60 is inevitable, that their body is destined to grow weaker, their energy destined to fade. But often, it's not destiny, it's circulation. And when we restore circulation with foods like beets, we restore life itself. Imagine, just from adding a simple vegetable to your meals, being able to walk longer, laugh harder, and feel more connected in the moments that matter most. That's the gift nature is offering. Now, let me pause again for a moment, because if you're finding this conversation helpful, I want to invite you to take a small action that means a lot to me and this community. If you haven't already, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to tap that bell icon so you'll be notified whenever we share new health advice that could make a real difference in your life. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me, have you ever tried beets before? Do you like them? Or are they new to you? Just type yes if you've tried them or no if you haven't. I read those comments carefully, and I use them to shape future videos that speak directly to your needs. Now, beets were just the beginning for Harold. After he got comfortable with them, I encouraged him to explore a second powerful vegan food, dark leafy greens. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, these greens are packed with the same kind of natural nitrates that beets contain, but they also carry another gift, magnesium. Magnesium is one of those minerals most people don't even think about, but it plays a vital role in muscle relaxation, blood vessel function, and overall circulation. Without enough magnesium, your blood vessels can tighten up, your blood pressure can creep higher, and your energy can feel stuck in neutral. Harold wasn't a fan of salads, so I suggested he try something simple, blending a handful of spinach into his morning smoothie. He was hesitant at first, but once he discovered that the fruit masked the taste of the greens, it became a regular part of his routine. Within weeks, he told me, "Doc, I don't know if it's the spinach or the beets, but I feel like someone turned the lights back on in my body." His stamina improved, his afternoon naps grew shorter, and the heaviness in his legs began to fade. That's circulation. That's what happens when you feed your body what it's been missing all these years. And remember, when your circulation improves, it doesn't just affect one part of your life, it affects everything. Better blood flow means sharper thinking, less fatigue, stronger muscles, and yes, a renewed spark in the bedroom. For Harold, it wasn't just about intimacy, it was about feeling like himself again, laughing with his wife, playing with his grandson, and waking up each morning with the quiet confidence that his body could carry him through the day. I want you to picture yourself for a moment. Imagine waking up tomorrow with more energy than you felt in years. Imagine walking outside and realizing your legs don't feel heavy. Imagine sitting with your partner and realizing that the connection you thought had faded is actually coming alive again. That's the power of these foods. They're not magic, but they are powerful, and when used consistently, they can transform your daily experience of life after 60. Now, Harold's journey didn't stop with beets and greens. There was one more food that made all the difference for him, and it's one I'll share with you in just a moment. But before I do, let me emphasize this. Consistency matters. One beet or one handful of spinach won't change your life overnight. But if you give your body these foods day after day, week after week, the results will come. Slowly, your circulation will improve, slowly, your energy will return, and slowly, you'll find yourself feeling more alive than you thought possible. So when Harold came back for his 3-month follow-up, I almost didn't recognize him. He walked in without his cane, his cheeks had color, his handshake was firm, and the first words out of his mouth were, "Doc, I feel like I got 10 years back." That, my friend, is the difference these foods can make.
When Harold returned to my office with that smile on his face and energy in his step, I knew he had taken the advice to heart. He was eating his beets, blending his spinach into smoothies, and enjoying more color on his plate than he ever had before. But I told him there was still one more food I wanted him to try. Something that could complete the circle when it came to boosting his circulation down there and giving his body the vitality it was asking for. That food was pomegranate. Now, most people think of pomegranate as a fancy fruit you might see sprinkled on a salad or pressed into a juice at a cafe. But this fruit has been treasured for centuries as a symbol of vitality and strength, and for good reason. Pomegranates are loaded with antioxidants, particularly polyphenols, which help protect the lining of your blood vessels and allow them to stay flexible. That flexibility is critical. When your arteries can expand and contract easily, blood flows smoothly, carrying oxygen and nutrients where they're needed most, including to the areas of your body responsible for intimacy and performance. I remember Harold laughing when I first mentioned pomegranate. He said, "Doc, I haven't eaten one of those since my wife made me try it in the 80s." But he was willing to give it a second chance. He started drinking a small glass of pure pomegranate juice a few times a week, and sometimes he sprinkled the seeds over his morning oatmeal. At his next check-in, he told me, "I don't know if it's the beets, the greens, or this pomegranate, but something is working, and it feels good." Here's the key thing. It wasn't just one food. It was the combination. Beets to pump up his nitric oxide levels, greens to provide magnesium and more nitrates, and pomegranate to protect his arteries and support long-term circulation. Together, they worked like a team, restoring the flexibility of his blood vessels, boosting his stamina, and giving him back the confidence he thought he had lost forever. Now, let's step back for a moment and think about what this means for you. Many men over 60 worry about losing their vitality, but they never stop to ask whether the foods they eat are helping or hurting them. Think of your body like a car engine. If you keep putting in dirty fuel, the engine will sputter and slow down. But if you put in clean, high-quality fuel, the engine roars back to life. That's exactly what Harold experienced, and it's exactly what you can experience too when you begin nourishing your body with these circulation-boosting foods. I want you to take a moment to picture yourself 6 months from now if you make even small changes. Imagine walking further without feeling short of breath. Imagine standing taller, moving easier, and smiling because your energy has returned. And yes, imagine sitting with your partner and realizing that intimacy feels alive again. This isn't wishful thinking. It's what happens when you give your body what it's been missing for decades. But let me share something else about Harold, because this is important. When he first started, he doubted himself. He told me, "Doc, I'm too old for this. Maybe my time is past." I looked him in the eye and reminded him that age is not the end of vitality. I've seen men in their late 70s and even 80s reclaim energy, strength, and intimacy by making these same changes. It's never too late. The body has an amazing ability to heal and restore itself when we feed it the right way. And Harold's story proves that. At his 6-month checkup, his blood pressure was down, his cholesterol had improved, and he had lost nearly 15 pounds without even trying. But what meant the most to him wasn't the numbers, it was the way he felt. He told me, "Doc, I have my spark back. My wife says I'm like the man she married, and I can keep up with my grandson again." That's the real reward. And let me pause here to ask something of you, my friend. If Harold's story inspires you, if you can see yourself in his journey, I'd love for you to just take a moment to show your support. Please click the like button and subscribe to this channel so we can continue building this community of strong, vital men over 60. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Do you believe it's possible to feel younger and stronger through food, even after 60? Just type yes if you do, or no if you're still not sure. I'll be reading your answers, and I'll use them to guide the advice I share in future videos. Now remember, Harold didn't make all these changes overnight. He started with one food, then added another, and then another. Bit by bit, his circulation improved, and his energy returned. And that's exactly how you can approach it too. Start with something simple like adding beets to your meals. Once that feels natural, add some greens. Then bring in the pomegranate. Before you know it, your body will begin to respond, just like Harold's did. There's one last part of Harold's journey I want to share with you, because as much as these foods transformed his circulation, what struck me most was how they transformed his outlook on life. He no longer saw himself as an old man just waiting for the years to pass. He saw himself as a husband, a grandfather, and a man with energy still left to give. He told me, "Doc, I didn't know food could give me back my confidence." And that's the truth I want to leave with you today. Confidence isn't just about how you look, it's about how you feel inside your own body.
By the time Harold came in for his final follow-up that year, I could see the difference before he even sat down. He had a spring in his step, His shoulders were straighter, and his handshake was firm and full of life. His wife had come along that day too, and I'll never forget the way she smiled at me in the waiting room. She leaned over and whispered, "Thank you, doctor. I feel like I've got my husband back." That's when I knew this wasn't just about Harold's circulation. This was about his life, his relationships, and his sense of self. What amazed me most was not only how these foods restored his energy, but how they gave him hope. You see, so many men after 60 quietly carry the weight of believing that their best years are behind them. They accept fatigue as normal, stiffness is inevitable, and fading intimacy is something they simply have to live with. But Harold's story shows us something far more powerful. When you nourish your body with the right foods, simple, natural, plant-based foods, your body responds with strength, vitality, and renewed life. Harold told me one day, "Doc, I didn't just get circulation back, I got confidence back. I got the courage to make plans again, to laugh more, to say yes when my wife wanted to dance in the kitchen." That's the gift these changes gave him. And I want you to hear me when I say this. It's never too late for you either. Whether you're 60, 70, or even 80, your body has an incredible ability to respond. You may not be able to turn the clock back, but you can absolutely wind it forward with strength, energy, and a renewed spark for living. I know talking about circulation down there can feel uncomfortable. But remember, it's not just about intimacy. It's about health. Strong circulation means a strong heart, sharper memory, better stamina, and more joy in everyday life. When your blood is flowing the way it should, your whole body feels it. And when your body feels alive, your spirit feels alive too. That's why I share Harold's story with you, because he represents so many men I've met over the years. Men who thought they were finished, only to discover that with the right foods, beets, greens, pomegranate, and others like them, they were only just beginning a new chapter of vitality. And maybe, just maybe, Harold's journey can become your journey too. If you've been listening closely and you feel a spark of hope, if something inside you is saying, "I want that for myself," then I want to encourage you right now, take the first step. Add just one of these foods to your diet this week. See how it feels. Let your body remind you that it still has strength left in it, and let that little change give you the confidence to keep going. And as always, I want to take a moment to invite you to be part of this community. If you found value here, please click the like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so you'll be notified when new advice is shared. And let's make this a conversation. Type yes in the comments if you believe it's possible to feel stronger and more alive after 60. And type no if you're still unsure. I read every one of your responses, and they help me understand what you're going through so I can bring you the guidance that matters most. Harold's story had a beautiful ending. 6 months into his journey, he and his wife celebrated their 40th wedding anniversary. They went dancing, something they hadn't done in years. He told me later, "Doc, when I took her hand on that dance floor, I felt like I was 25 again. Not because I looked younger, but because I had the energy and confidence to show up for her the way I wanted to." That's the gift these changes gave him. And that's the power of circulation and the power of nourishing your body with the foods it craves. So as we close today, let me leave you with this thought. Age is not the end of vitality. It's an opportunity to choose how you want to live the years ahead. You can let time dictate your energy, or you can take control by giving your body what it needs to thrive. Beets, leafy greens, pomegranate, and others like them, these are not just foods. They are tools. Tools to rebuild your circulation, restore your confidence, and reclaim the joy that makes life worth living. And remember, you don't have to do it all at once. Start with one small step, one meal, one choice, because those little steps add up to something extraordinary. Just as Harold discovered, it's never too late to feel alive again. My friend, I hope this message gives you the encouragement you need to take that first step today. Your story doesn't have to end in decline. It can be rewritten with vitality, strength, and confidence, and I'll be right here to guide you along the way. This is Dr. Nolan Easton, wishing you health, energy, and the courage to live fully at every age. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.